Hi guys, thank you for watching my channel today. We are going to talk about the archetype of Taurus, and similar to Aries, I would like to take this a little bit deeper. I've been reading Evolutionary Astrology and it's really been speaking to me, especially Jeffrey Wolf Green. And so I do want to also incorporate some of traditional astrology, so this is going to be a hybrid. Taurus. Taurus is the earth spirit. It is also the silent one and the concentrator. The key word for Taurus is I have. It is a yin sign, which is feminine, which means it's also coming back to the center. Taurus is the first of the earth signs. Earth it's practical. It is patient, and earth plans and builds for the future and the long term. Earth is very in touch with its physical senses as well as the here and now material reality. Earth is also attuned to the world of forms. At times, Earth can be more cautious, dependable, and sometimes more conventional. Taurus is also in a fixed sign. This means that you have a very strong will, that the Taurus archetype has a very strong will. They are very consistent and they have a lot of endurance. Your actions are motivated by principle, values, and ideas. With Taurus specifically, it's like a reserve of quiet energy. An example of this would be like a serpent coiled waiting in the grass. It's not going to act until it absolutely has to, but when it does, it's going to act with the most precision, and it's going to wait to attack. Traditionally, Taurus is known as the sign that is very steady and sometimes stubborn. They don't like to be pushed around. Their reflexes can be more slow. They are long-suffering. Possessions and material objects can be very important to a Taurus, and we will talk about that deeper later on in the video as to why this is. Taurus also relates to our sense of values. Sensuality and physical sensation is something that the Taurus archetype has a natural affinity with. It grounds and centers and it stabilizes that Aryan energy as it follows Aries in the zodiac sign. So Aries goes out and it fights its battles and it creates its fires that it needs to put out, and the battle has now been won. So Taurus, following Aries, is like the settling after the battle has been won. It's where you're no longer afraid. There is nothing to fight for. But now there is new lessons that we need to learn. We need to sustain that nice, peaceful feeling of victory. How do we sustain that? Taurus is also the biological instinct for survival through our values, which creates our meaning. Taurus reflects our inner relationship with ourselves as well as our inner nature. And it co-rules Venus with Libra. So Libra deals with our external relationships, our relationships with others, how we communicate to others, a kind of communion. But Taurus is our own inner dialogue, how we communicate and relate to ourselves. Taurus represents our self-reliance, our self-sufficiency, our self-containment, as well as our self-sustainment. It is so easy today within our society and our cultures to just accept whatever is the norm as far as what is valuable or what should be valuable to us. We see other people driving nice cars, having a nice purse, buying that turnkey house, and we think, wow, that must be they must be a successful person. And then it's so easy for us to automatically assume that, oh, well, that's what's valuable. That's what we should all value. And that is how we will find meaning, by gaining these possessions or achieving these financial goals. And if we're unhappy, we don't realize that this is something that we have allowed to happen, that we have unconsciously created this unhappiness through not creating our own true values within us first. Now that we are within the archetype of Taurus, there is a sense that we need to slow down and we need to tune into something more tangible and learn how to create resources that will help us survive. Part of the reason why Taurus is so extremely attached to tangible objects is because a lot of these tangible objects can help us survive in life. With Taurus, sometimes we can deal with an over-focus on possessions, as well as jealousy and greediness, because when we're operating in a sense of looking for having our values placed on things externally, we are constantly comparing to others. What do they have that I don't have? Or what do they have where they're surviving better than I am? All of this is rooted in the deeper fear of loss. And even deeper than that, it's a fear of not having enough to survive, even in a time when that may not be the case anymore. We are at the evolutionary stage with this archetype where we go from being connected to the mother and being born into the first house. Now Taurus, which rules the second house, we are learning that we are a separate individual with our own bodies and our own needs. This is when a baby starts to go, I'm hungry, and starts to cry. When a baby feels pain, it also realizes that its body has been hurt in some way. If we are uncomfortable, if we are in pain or hungry, we all have a way of responding to that. Taurus is learning how to form a relationship with our needs, turning inward and asking, what is it that I need right now? There is an instinctual movement to avoid pain and to seek pleasure. Sometimes we can get into the pattern of possessing things or people as a means to feel good about ourselves. Everything can be perceived, when we are not working in a higher awareness, as a means to somehow meet our own needs. One of the lessons that Taurus is also learning is that there is no value in empty materialism or just survival for its own sake. Our whole life experience has a deeper purpose. When we are over-focused on how we can seek pleasure and how we can gain things to meet our needs and to avoid pain, we can go into cycles where there can be a real crisis if that pleasure ends or if something goes wrong, where we can avoid that. And this can include wanting to stay the same and not allowing change, as well as flexibility into our lives and into our hearts. Simplicity and ease at all costs, even avoiding people and the world at large, this is something that will slow down our evolutionary process. And with Taurus, because Scorpio is the polarity point, which is about transformation and regeneration, Taurus needs to incorporate allowing change into their life, allowing things that may be uncomfortable at times to remain flexible and to allow regeneration to come. This may not be something that is extreme, but the Taurus archetype does need to incorporate that in order to evolve. There can be a bit of a hermit archetype within the Taurus personality where on one hand you could really need time alone, and that's very important for Taurus, that this could be how you recharge and unwind in a healthy way. But on the other spectrum, this could be where you are in avoidance through a deeper fear of being bothered by the outside world, or kind of the outside chaos, or at least that's how it's perceived, is because I don't want to change, because I want things to be the same. In order for that to happen, I need to kind of close down and wall myself in so that I know my space and that I'm okay, and that things are controlled here so that I can avoid change as well as growth that can happen. On the other hand, if you're more balanced in this way, going into nature, finding your inner peace and calm, this is also really important for Taurus, as well as having alone time sporadically throughout your day. But when it's the extreme is when we can run into some problems, where this is where we're putting on the brakes and we're saying, no, I don't want to change, I don't want to grow, I just want to sustain, because Taurus wants to sustain. If there is no regeneration and letting go, which represents Scorpio, of our resources, we can begin to hoard experiences to the point where we fall into the psychology of poverty. And Taurus is supposed to be about abundance, because there can be an avoidance of conflict and an effort to instead to solely self-preserve and self-sustain. This actually has the adverse effect where you are not living in a mindset of abundance. You are actually living in a mindset of poverty, because it's coming from a deeper sense of lack as well as fear. What we hold on to, we actually hold back from ourselves. We forget that we are losing the actual abundance that we are looking for within ourselves. One thing that I think can be very helpful with Taurus is through giving and sharing of your resources, because of Scorpio and the second 8th house polarity point, in a way that is positive, that comes from the heart. It is so easy, especially within our society and within any kind of controlling, oppressive mindset, where we give out of obligation, or we give out of guilt, or we give because we expect something in return. But when we truly give from our heart without expecting anything in return, what we receive is an abundance in fulfillment and inner resources within us, as well as we raise our vibration that way, and we bring greater joy and fulfillment into our lives. Instead of having a fear of losing the things that we have, we actually, by giving some of that away, we gain greater prosperity because of that. There's a difference between wealth and prosperity. Wealth is just like hoarding things and getting as much as you can for yourself, but a truly prosperous person knows how to share that wealth. They know how to double that wealth through the sharing of that with others, even if it doesn't have to be the giving of material resources. It doesn't even have to be an object. It could be through a service. It could be through a kind gesture. It could be through a compliment. It could be through a delicious meal that you made for a friend or for your family. You learn that it's really not about the quantity in life that you have, it's about the quality. And this extends not just externally, but internally. It's about the equality of your inner resources, as well as your external resources. I guess what I'm thinking of is, when you walk into someone's house and it's just, there's not a lot of clutter and mess, it just feels good. Maybe they have like the plants laid out or the lighting is right. The few things that they have, it's a very nice quality, and you can tell that they value it because it carries meaning in some way. It doesn't even have to be new or shiny. It's not what everyone has. It's the love and the meaning behind it. You can just feel, you can sense this person was very intentional about what they valued. And I think that's so beautiful. By removing the outer clutter, in a way, you are also beginning to remove the inner clutter, as well as the inner voice that is constantly or could constantly be in a fear mode, saying to you, oh, I need this is going to make me feel better, or I need that, this is going to make me feel better. Instead of having that inner voice tell you you're lacking in something, by kind of decluttering your space and really looking at things differently and going, what is it that I really value? You can begin to change the way you talk to yourself about it, because Taurus is about that inner dialogue. You know what? I don't really need this. I'm gonna, do a Marie Kondo where you're like, thank you, and you let it go. And so now you're decluttering your external, and you're also decluttering the internal. You're going, okay, society may say this is what most of us should value and work for, but I'm starting to learn what I really value and what's really important to me and what resources I really need to live a better life based off of you and no one else. How we feel about ourselves is how we attract others into our lives, and it's how we attract situations into our lives. So our inner dialogue plays a very big role within our lives. Your biggest evolutionary goal and how you can find your inner abundance is about realizing that all resources come and go. That the purpose of life, it is to evolve and grow. With the Pluto-Venus polarity point, there is a need, and the astrologer Ari Mash Wolf, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, what he said is that embracing the reality of impermanence and thus finding value and self-esteem in the soul itself is the ultimate purpose within the Taurus archetype. Am I fixated on the material world and the coming and going, or am I centered on the enoughness of who I am? Sensation and feeling in the present moment, if the mind is always looking for what it needs and how to get more, and if you're always in a state of dissatisfaction, of feeling like I don't have enough, that it's never enough, now will never be enough. And there is nothing more important with Taurus being your inner dialogue as realizing that you are not the voice inside your head. You are the silent one listening to that voice. There needs to be an understanding of that deeper awareness, that detachment between your separateness and your deeper inner being, your soul. Just recognizing that we are not that voice. Learning how to gain freedom through embracing the silence within, sitting in the peacefulness of abundance, and finding true value and meaning in that, in your deeper abundance within you. It is in the stillness of your own heart and mind that you can begin to experience the awareness of your deeper self and your true nature. This in turn allows you to fully experience your true abundance, and that it really has nothing to do with anything external. When the Taurus archetype is walking within its higher awareness, it can be one of the most talented signs, where you can create from a place of, first, from the abundance from within outward. This could look like cooking, where you don't even have a recipe. It's like you use your senses. You just know the amounts and you know what works together, where you can create such high quality and make these tangible creations manifest here on earth, where everyone else is like, they don't understand how this could be so natural to you. You could be a gardener who just understands what plants need and the sun and how it needs to radiate off that plant in order for it to grow effectively, where you just have this natural gift. But these natural gifts are unlocked once you unlock your inner abundance and once you become one with your inner being, and as well as your inner resources. That is my interpretation of these Taurus archetype. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Please, as always, I appreciate all of your comments, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.